If you're struggling with a couple of houseplants, then don't worry, you're not the only one. I've got 8 houseplants that I can't seem to make happy at the moment that I'm going to share with you in this video as a kind of houseplant care confession so that you can hopefully share in my houseplant gloom. So the first plant that I'm slowly killing is an absolutely stunning plant when in full health with beautiful pink and purple colours, and it's the Tradescantia Nanouk. In my experience, this plant never stays looking its best for long, which is really frustrating. I've been putting out my hair about this plant for too long. I bought this plant as a beautiful little compact plant and all the leaves were in perfect condition, but slowly over time this plant has become leggy and the leaves have turned brown and crispy. The frustrating thing is that these leaves will not recover, so they need to be cut off. This means that you have stems with large gaps where the leaves used to be, so it looks really ugly. I've not been able to find this secret sauce for keeping these leaves consistently healthy, so if you do know, then please let me know in the comments. As ever, there are contrasting opinions on the internet as to why this happens, from too much light to not enough light to not enough humidity. My personal hunch is that the plant actually doesn't like too much humidity. In many ways, this plant acts like a succulent. I say that because the leaves tend to die back whenever I accidentally splash water in them, much like succulents do. This is one of the reasons why I bottom water my plants, a topic that I speak about more in my I changed one thing and now my plants are thriving video that you can check out after this. Thankfully, this plant is very easy to propagate. In fact, it's one of the easiest plants out there to propagate. And this is how I intend to revitalise this plant. I'm going to cut off the healthy stems of the plant and replant them into a new pot with some soil to create a brand new plant. This tends to be how I treat all my Tradescantias, knowing that they never last that long. Long-term viewers of my channel, the original G's, you know who you are, will know what my favourite plant is. Unfortunately for me, this is also a plant that I'm slowly killing, and it's my Philodendron Birkin. This plant is a bit of a Marmite plant or Vegemite plant. You either love it or you hate it. Are you a Marmite lover or hater? Leave it in the comments. For me, I love the pinstripe variegation in the leaves, and I kinda like the temperamental nature of the plant. So the variegation is considered highly unstable, and you often get funky half-green leaves like the one that recently sprouted on mine. But this isn't the reason why I'm killing this plant. Like a sick puppy, this plant has been struggling to push out new healthy leaves recently, and instead the new leaves that should come out white have been coming out brown and mushy and fall off before they've developed into proper leaves. I'm guessing the leaves are rotting as they're emerging due to too much water in the soil, so I'm overwatering my beloved plant. I think I did overwater this plant in the spring, so a good 4 or 5 months ago, and this is when the problem started, but I have been very vigilant with my moisture meter since, and only water when the probe reads dry. Unfortunately, the problem persists with brown leaves continuing to come out of the plant. If you have a different theory on why this is happening, then please do leave it in the comments. Your intervention could save a life. I bought my first 2 Dieffenbachias this year in my home-based shopping trip video, and sadly for me, I've been struggling with the plant ever since. I think I'm giving this plant too much light because they both sit in front of my east-facing window in the dining room here, so they get about 6 hours of morning sun each day, or on the rare occasion it's sunny here in Sheffield. The symptoms of my sick plants are yellowing and browning leaves that shrivel up and die. The problem has been persisting for weeks, with me having to prune away sick leaves every couple of weeks. I'm now left with one Dieffenbachia in particular that is looking thin with very few leaves. I do know that the lower leaves of Dieffenbachias do droop and turn yellow as part of their normal growth pattern, and having to remove them is par for the course. But this is happening more than I was expecting. Over or underwatering might also be an issue, and I'm pretty good at probing all my plants before watering, so I don't think it's a watering problem. If this is happening to your plant and you want to confess to get it off your chest, then let me know in the comments. If you've been watching my videos for a while, then you've probably heard me moan about this next plant before, because it's a plant that I continue to struggle with. What's even more frustrating for me is that whenever I mention my struggles with this plant on this channel, I get lots of comments telling me that their plant is doing well and can't understand why mine is behaving badly. Pause the video and tell me in the comments what plant you think I'm talking about. Welcome back. The mystery plant is my Chlorophytum Orchidastrum, or the green-orange plant. This is one of the plants I purchased in my online shopping and unboxing video because I fell in love with the contrast between the orange stems and the green leaves of the plant. I think it looks really cool. Unfortunately, this plant has given me grief ever since, with the leaves consistently turning black and dying. I'm at a complete loss as to why this is happening. At first, I thought I wasn't giving it enough water, so I upped the watering, but this didn't help. Then I thought it was a lack of humidity, so I grouped it closer together with my other plants in my dining room to try and boost the humidity, but this did nothing. A subscriber on the channel thought it was probably too much sunlight, so I've since pulled it away from the window and placed it on my fireplace mantle so it gets 0 hours of direct sunlight, but this hasn't helped really either. The black leaves problem persists. In fact, I recently went away for a week in sunny Norfolk in the UK and came back to 5 leaves that had turned black that I had to cut off. If you have experience with this plant, then please let me know what you think the problem might be. This next plant is the first plant in my collection, as far as I'm aware, that I've ever had a spider mite problem on. In case you don't know, spider mites are tiny arachnids that live on and attack the plants you have in your home and garden. They're crafty little buggers because they are too small to see with the naked eye, so they sit there on the plant unnoticed, sucking the sap from the leaves of your plant, growing their population in the process until they kill the plant. Nasty business, I'm sure you'll agree. The only way you'll be able to tell that they're on your plant is by looking for their very fine webbing on the stems and underside of the leaves, checking for spotting on the leaves, or getting your magnifying glass out to inspect the leaves. So what's the plant that got infected with these tiny beasts? One of my most recent purchases, the Philodendron New Red. So recent in fact that I suspect I brought the problem home on the plant from the shop. You see, like an idiot, I didn't follow my own advice and thoroughly check the plant before buying it. If you caught my YouTube Shorts video, then you'll know that I've since treated the plant by spraying down the leaves and changing the soil, but unfortunately this plant is still not looking its best. It's a waiting game for me to see if the spider mites come back and lay their web of terror all over the plant again. So wish me luck in the comments. Begonia plants are absolutely stunning and one of my favourite species of plant, but sadly, I seem to be killing my begonia. I'm really not sure whether I'm just a neglectful plant parent or if my plant child hates me, but this plant never looks happy in my care. I give the plant everything it could possibly need, including food, water, lots of attention and a roof over its head, but still it looks sad. It consistently gets yellow and brown leaves that need cutting off, and the plant often droops even though the soil has some moisture in it. I've recently up-potted the plant because it was a bit root bound, but this doesn't seem to have helped. I have found this plant and my other begonias to be quite thirsty, so maybe I'm not giving it enough water. How's your relationship with your begonia? I've said this before on this channel and I'll say it again, do not buy a Chlorophytum Zebrina. This plant is really not worth all the future heartache that will fall onto you if you buy this plant. Honestly, don't be sucked in by its beautiful striped leaves and gorgeous shape. It's a plant trap. Much like a Venus flytrap is luring its prey onto its leaves for it to lunch, the Chlorophytum Zebrina is luring you in so that you will take it home and give it love and care. You might think that the plant looks amazing in the nursery and you'll be able to give it the right conditions in your home to keep it that way, but don't be fooled. The nursery has the perfect conditions for this plant that will be impossible to replicate in your home. Unless you live in the jungle, it will be warm and humid and will be surrounded by friends. Get it home though, and the plant will develop brown crispy edges on its leaves, pretty much a guarantee no matter what you do. If you've had this plant in your home for more than 5 months and it's still looking great, then let us know in the comments. No cheating though, it has to be more than 5 months and not 2 weeks. This next plant, I think I more or less killed when I repotted it into a larger pot. I bought my Peperomia Orba last year as a baby plant from my local nursery and it was doing really well. This is something I often do. I buy baby plants because they are cheap and grow them out into larger plants like a true plant daddy. This Peperomia had multiple stems that were pushing out lots of growth and the leaves looked really healthy. It got to the point where it outgrew the pot it was in so it needed potting up into a large pot, which I did. Now I'm not sure why, but ever since that fateful repot, the plant has slowly been dying. I think I had 5 strong stems cascading down the side of the plant, but I've slowly been losing them one by one, and now I'm only left with one single main stem. I potted it up into a terracotta pot, and I suspect the plant doesn't like this because terracotta tends to dry much quicker than plastic nursery pots. I'm in two minds about this though, because peperomias tend to prefer a dry soil, so I'm surprised this is killing the plant. I've recently upped the watering of the plant to see if I can save the last stems. What do you think I did wrong? To help you save your own sanity, make sure you check out this video here to learn about 10 fussy houseplants that beginners should avoid and why you should avoid them.